Okay, welcome to this video presentation of April 2021. This is an exclusive breakdown for all of our supporters on Patreon and on Haven in the Astrology party circle. So this is our Astrology party, and we're going to just give you a rundown and a breakdown of the energy of April. We're going to cover pretty much every transit, every major transit, um, every square, every trine, every sextile, and then of course the new and full moons, every conjunction as well. And we're gonna break it all down for you, and we're gonna have a blast. So I'm Christian Klausner, your astrologer, and I'm here with my co-host Amelia.
Hello, everyone.
And we're so happy to be here. Our charts are flipped, me and Amelia. Is that right? I'm a Leo and
hmm
you're an Aquarius, and I have Aquarius rising and you have Leo rising, right?
Yeah, we're doing like a Leo Aquarius dance up in here.
Yes. Should be fun since our energies are flipped like that. I think it's going to be pretty complementary. And so we threw a little presentation for you together for you today. And how this is going to run is basically whoever is here live, um, we're sending you all of our blessings and all of our light. And I know Amelia does some energy work. This idea literally just popped into my head. Maybe, um, you know, if not this time, the next time, whoever shows up live could get some energy work. Maybe, possibly. What do you think about that, Amelia?
I love how organic that was. You're just like divinely inspired. And yeah, I would love to do that. We could do like a little mini Reiki share to coincide with either one of the meditations that we have, or maybe just like to start or to
Yeah,
end. I don't know. We'll
yeah,
explore it and
yeah.
see what flows.
Something to explore. That'd be pretty cool. I could do a little prayer or something. I don't do any Reiki, but I'd be happy to bless everybody here, and everybody who's watching the recording as well. I bless you guys. And I think that would be a good thing to open with, just to set the intentions and set the vibe. If just open with a little prayer or um, incantation or whatever you'd want to call it, I guess.
A
So
spell.
yeah, a spell. I'll cast a spell. So you know, yeah, everybody watching and everybody here, bless you guys. May you be blessed. Heavenly Creator, let this meeting be blessed and allow you to do your work through us as we channel the infinite wisdom of the cosmos and realize, what kind of message is pouring through the solar system, and guide us in all of your ways. And may we all be guided by your perfect love and infinite blessings forever and ever. Amen.
Amen.
All
It's
right.
good stuff.
Beautiful. Let's get going. So here's our little presentation. And I'm not going to go full screen because I'm going to be switching to Astro Gold here so I can show you guys the charts. This is going to be a blast. So April is big energy. And let's go to here today. And so this is the chart of today. This is being filmed March 27th. It's already the 27th. No, it's the 26th. For some reason, this thinks I'm in Australia. Oh, so let me edit that. And so it's the 26th of March, Friday, 1:14 p.m. for me in California. I believe it's 3:14 for you, Amelia.
4:14.
4:14. Oh yeah, because of
Mhm.
the time change, I guess.
Mm.
Or no,
Well, it's always
because
3 hours apart,
oh
right?
okay. Yeah.
That's
Oh,
the.
okay. And you're in Sacramento. You're in New York area, right?
hmm Rochester, New York area.
Nice. Well, we'll do your town next time. Do your
Yeah,
town.
the back and forth.
Yeah. I'll kind of lead the way this time. Next time, maybe Amelia will lead the way. But this is our first time doing this, so so excited that we're finally doing this. I've always done a rundown of all the transits for every month for I think 3 years now for my supporters on Patreon. So it's about time that I start making a video out of this. And I'm so happy that we get to do this live because I love the interaction, and I'm excited for the Q&A after this, to really answer people's questions. Maybe they have specific questions about how it'll affect their sun sign or moon sign or who knows what. And to kind of explain how the transits work, because I hear a lot of people say that the most confusing part of astrology are the aspects, and like determining what a square is and how it's different from a sextile. And it's really easy once you get the hang of it, once you get the formula going. So I'm happy to explain the transits and make it more simple for people. And so currently it's March 27th. And oh, we have the 31st this month. That's nice. And then April 1st is going to be on Thursday. So this is just for April, so I don't think we'll be getting into this full moon that's coming up on Sunday, even though I'm so excited about that. And I guess for whoever is interested, we have the sun at 8 degrees and Venus at 8 degrees and Chiron at 8 degrees in Aries at the exact moment that the moon reaches full light in Libra. This is mind-blowing, you guys. This is absolute
Ooh, yes.
divine timing. And what's amazing is how close Mars is to the south node. So if we were to go back in time when Mars was with the, did I say south node? Mars is with the north node. When Mars was with the south node last year, that was in Capricorn. And even though Mars is exalted in Capricorn and feels really strong in that organized earthy sign, with the south node, Mars was not the victor. This is when the lockdowns happened, or around that time. And our individual will did not succeed. I mean, it was almost powerless to this wave of control and fear that really washed over the entire planet. And nothing like this has ever happened before, as far as I can tell, in history, where there's a global awareness of, something that's going down. I'm not sure if there's any time in history where everyone around the entire world was in the same vibration. And I don't know, I don't know about you, Amelia, but when CV hit, I would lay in bed at night and I could hear the thought forms of everybody on this planet saying the word Corona, and it was so trippy.
Oh my
Did you
gosh.
have anything like that happen?
That is so trippy. I didn't have that specifically. I mean, I did feel it more so rather than in words. It was like in sensations, but it was at night when it would particularly hit me the hardest. And I definitely had several breakdowns like a year ago that were not really personal. Like I didn't feel personally attached to them. They felt like a collective like decompression happening, or like a tower moment. So yeah, I definitely experienced something similar.
Right. Yeah, it's deep. I've been feeling that a lot too. Like emotions pass through me and I'm like, why am I feeling this? And I'm pretty sure I'm just feeling other people's emotions. Um,
Mm.
but yeah, it's crazy. It was so loud. Everybody all at the same time. It was like they were saying the same word. So it's pretty crazy. It was definitely a collectivizing and unifying experience, which I think probably goes with the nature of the South Node. And for those of you who don't know, these nodes are the points at which the eclipses happen. So these nodes always move backwards. This is the descending node of the moon, the south node of the moon, and this is the ascending node of the moon, the north part. And they're called the head and the tail of the dragon, respectively. So the north node is the head, the south node is the tail. And so based on what happened when Mars was there with the south node in Capricorn, I think what we're having happen now, and I've been talking to a lot of Geminis who are having very interesting experiences, is this is going to be an individualizing kind of energy. And if you're a Gemini, you're definitely being asked to step up in a powerful way here. I know a lot of Gemini. I've talked to one recently who it was almost like she felt under attack, um, or that there was all this attention on her. And so a lot of ego things were coming up, which is natural with Mars. Mars is the ego, and it's the assertive will to identify who you are. And if you're a Gemini, you're playing a very special part in the cosmos today. And the most powerful thing for a Gemini to do all of the time is to tell the truth, because you have a gift of words, you have the gift of speech and thought, and you can weave webs with, um, with false things, with lies or with half truths. And those webs can really become a trap. But what you can do with truth is the truth cuts those webs away and sets people free. So you're going to set yourself free in a really powerful way with Mars in your sign, all the way, I believe, until May, all throughout April, I think. And um, if you tell the truth now in an assertive way, as Mars is encouraging you to do, you're going to help the entire world in a powerful, powerful way. Because now Mars is with the North Node. Mars will be victorious this time around. And this is the victory of the individual will. And I think Geminis play a powerful part in that. So, kind of got off tangent, but this full moon on Sunday is going to be powerful Aries energy. It's going to get along well with the Gemini energy. And the full moon is in Libra, which is the sign of partnership and balance. So on Sunday, this is a powerful day to realize a lot of things about how you let people in and how you cooperate with dynamics in your life, and which dynamics you no longer want to cooperate with, which I think is what Venus and the Sun and Chiron and Aries are all going to help you accomplish. And you're going to be able to say no in a really powerful but loving way, thanks to Venus here. And
Mm.
so assert with your heart is what I'm telling people for this Sunday. Assert from the heart what your yes is and what your no is. Anything to say
I
on
love
that?
that.
Anything to say on that,
That's so
Amelia,
good.
before I move
You're
on?
so good at speaking.
Thank
um,
you. So are you.
I just had to say that. And then also what came to my mind with this full moon is, especially with Chiron there, learning how in a very like intense physical way, how you kind of hurt yourself and how that hurts others. And when you heal yourself, you're sort of healing others as well, and vice versa. And the relationship between self-healing and self-love and love of the other, because that ultimately leads to the disillusion of the otherness, that coming back to oneness, which is really powerful, especially during Aries season. And I love that it's at 8 degrees with those planets, because 8 is like the transformation number to me in the zodiac. That's the like huge alchemy moment. So I feel like we're being called for like relationship alchemy, your inner relationship alchemy as well, and like reflecting that outward. Like there's a lot that could go down this weekend, and I hope that you all like celebrate that and the like physical embodiment of it.
Yes. Amazing. Really good point.
Mm.
And I invite you guys to um to join my Patreon and to join our circle in Haven, because we help break this down. And for
Little
anybody who
by
wants
little.
deeper knowledge, got to do that little plug there. If you join my Lightworkers on Patreon, you'll get an extreme 70-page report. And so I give you some insight into how to handle every full moon and every new moon as well. So if you want some guidance on how to make the most of the full moon coming up, join my Lightworkers on my Patreon. Now, let's jump into the transits, shall we? So this is our Astrology party. I hope you have your tea. I'm drinking. We're both drinking tea here today. Pretty funny.
We are. Cheers.
Cheers. So April 2021, which only happens one time, by the way. We don't get another April 2021. Just for a reminder, this is what the zodiac is. The zodiac is the book of life. It's the entirety of our psyche. And the psyche is embodied. So the zodiac rules over the body, and every body part is found in the zodiac, from the head in Aries all the way to the feet in Pisces. And this is the cosmic man, the grand woman of the cosmos. And we are a reflection of this universe in which we live, a perfect reflection. And if you get to know yourself, you will know this universe. This is why I love astrology so much. There's no holes in it. It's a whole complete system. And as you get to learn about the zodiac and how the psyche is put together according to ancient astrology, the more you know about yourself and how you work. Just a little reminder of that. This is the quote of the month that I threw on here. Forgiveness says you are given another chance to make a new beginning. That's by Desmond Tutu, who I don't know. I don't know who that is, but I found that quote online. I like that quote, because when you forgive, and spring is the perfect season to forgive if you haven't yet already. I believe in having a sincere, single, form of forgiveness. And I don't believe, and then from there you walk in forgiveness. I don't really believe in constantly forgiving people. You should only have to forgive once. And if they wrong you again, you've already forgiven them. Which is realizing that they're not perfect and it was wrong for you to expect them to be. And then you just walk in forgiveness. You don't have to forgive them again. And if somebody is showing up in your life and hurting you in that way where you have to keep forgiving them, you should probably let them go. And that's what perfect love would do in that moment, in my opinion. And forgiveness does give the other person a new chance. But what I think this new beginning is about is it gives you the new beginning. Because when you forgive, if it's sincere, you also do forget. And I know people disagree with me on this point. I got into it wasn't an argument, but a discussion with my sister. She's like, no, you should always remember. And I'm like, but what good does that do? Because if I always remember what you did to me, have I really forgiven you? Because there's something in the back of my head which is coloring my perception of you, and it's causing this expectation. It's like, oh, I remember what she did, so I'm not going to trust her again, is really what that leads to. If you want a new beginning for yourself, forget what people have done to you, really forgive them so that you can be free. And what you become free from is resentment. And this is some Aries energy here. Aries
Mm.
Aries is that hot flame which can turn into resentment. um Aries, rules the head. It's headstrong energy. And it's like getting a bump on your head from somebody, and now you're always aware of them and you don't want to bump into them again. Aries energy is this is where tempers can flare up, and this is where ego battles can ensue. And so spring, that's why spring is a most amazing time for you to become free by forgiving. So that's why I made that the quote today. Um,
May I add to that too?
please.
Because I love that. And while you were talking, it made me think of perhaps forget isn't quite the right word, if I may say so. And maybe it's more of like integrate, because it's sort of like trauma healing. Whenever we go through like, shadow work or trauma healing, we are integrating the experience into our being. And it reminds me of the very scientific fact that I think it's like every 7 years you have new cells in your body to the point where you basically have a brand new body. So we are constantly transforming and shifting and alchemizing. And so forgiveness is just sort of, I think, surrender to that natural change. You're recognizing, like, yeah, that happened, but it doesn't have to be like on the forefront of my consciousness or even in the back burner, because like you said, it can like fester and burn away and basically like burn a hole through your brain and leave things leaky. And so perhaps it's not so much about forgetting, but just integrating it into your being and recognizing that you have changed from it, through it, and that it has changed too, and that other people can change. I really feel like forgiveness, and you helped me just now realize that forgiveness is this surrender to change, which is natural. And I
Mm,
think to not forgive is to resist and resent, as you said. So
mm, so
thank you for
beautiful.
that.
Thank you. Isn't Miss Mapstone amazing? Gosh, way to just balance my energy with your feminine grace.
Oh,
Really appreciate that.
don't make me cry, Christian.
Oh, you're crying today. No, I'm just kidding.
It's gonna happen.
I'll cry with you. No shame. Okay. So these are the transits of the first third of April, if you will. The first through the 10th. We've got the sun in Aries going to sextile the north node. Mercury still in Pisces. So at this point of, when we're filming this, we still don't have the answers. The mind is still somewhat in the dark. If we go to, let's just go even to the first. At the start of the month, the sun is well into Aries. Venus is right there along with the sun, trotting along. So our hearts have a lot of love. They're full of a lot of love and passion and fire at the start of this month, with Venus and the sun traveling so close for so long. And this is this begins in trine with the moon, which is amazing, but it's also trine the south node. So some past emotions can come up at the start of the month. And if you try to figure it all out with your analytical brain, which is what Mercury represents here, you're probably not going to be able to. And that can create some frustration. And so the thing is, Mercury doesn't come into Aries um, 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 until the 3rd.
April 10th. Oh. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the 3rd.
I was reading
So
ahead.
boom, boom. Then we have uh, Mercury in Aries at some point in that day, because this is the morning of the 3rd. But so later in the day, Mercury comes into Aries, and that's probably when we'll start to feel like we have the answers in our head. But for the first 3 days of April, my suggestion, basically, to sum up this energy and not to spend too long breaking it down, because we got to get through the whole month, is don't try and force yourself to have an answer. With Mercury still in Pisces, this is still, we're being asked to surrender at the level of our head, and our mind. And this is still a time for discovery as well. The sun and Venus pulling ahead in Aries is bringing us into new terrain, and Mercury is still trying to catch up. And so the thing is, don't try and, the thing is, just go for it first and try and figure it all out later, because the mind is still in a place of being confused. And I think a lot of joy can come from that. Even today, we were like, so oh, it's a beautiful day. What are we going to do today after you're done with your presentation? And I'm like, I don't know. And we're like, cool. And it's just so cool. Like anything could happen. We have this Aries energy, but we don't know. We don't know what to do. It's just like there's endless possibilities. And so have fun with not knowing, you know? And
Yes.
so biggest ones, let's catch what the biggest ones are. So Mercury enters Aries on the 3rd. Look for that shift on the 3rd. Venus in Aries is going to sextile Mars and Gemini. This is an amazing aspect here on the 6th. This is what I've been waiting for personally, because Mars and Venus have been kind of butting heads for a while. If I just go back in time, Venus and Mars, I don't think they got that sextile with them in the personal elements. And I don't know, I don't think they've had much harmony for a while. But this is the moment of complete harmony. Oh, okay, now we're at noon. So here's Venus in Aries. There's Mars in Gemini. Mars is, and this is very mental energy as well, with Aries ruling the head and Gemini ruling the mind and how we speak and reason and stuff. So this is hot romantic energy by the 6th, and this lasts hits exact on the 6th, early in the morning, I think. So this is the peak of romantic harmony, between the feminine and masculine energy. And this harmony is allowing us to create new ideas with each other. And I feel like me and Amelia kind of tapped into this before it even happened, before it even occurred.
I was just thinking that.
It's so perfect. It's just so collaborative and, romantic, but, Gemini rules friendships. And with Mars and Gemini, this is empowering us to have friendships. And Venus and Aries is like, yeah, romance is great, but how about that fierce love of like excitement and trying new things? So this is really good energy on the 6th, 7th, and 8th, I would say. To do new things with your
And
partner.
Aries is also that like self-love, right? Oh, sorry,
Right.
what?
Totally. Yeah, self-love, loving yourself in a new way in, the
Mm.
context of your partnership, but just do new things, I would say, you know, this is a wonderful time for going on super fun dates, trying new things with your partner, and even coming up with new ideas or new ways of communicating with your partner, because Mars and Gemini is forging ahead in the creation of new ways to communicate yourself and new ways of thinking. And Venus sextiling Mars is making this collaborative effort where you can work together to think of things in a new way. So, so yeah, that's pretty awesome. And then we have Mercury conjunct Chiron, following in the footsteps of the Sun and Venus. Mercury conjuncts Chiron. And so
Is
this,
this where the more subtle energies will start to be more specific, do you think?
I think so.
Like more on the forefront of the consciousness?
Yeah, for sure. Um, because then we have the moon conjunct Neptune on that in Pisces on that same day, kind of anchoring in some deep emotions and also some possible illusions that we have going on about reality and being able to dispel those illusions and maybe see clearly. But also there's the possibility here where if you focus too much on your insecurities and your wounds and not seeing them in a positive light, but judging them, then perhaps you can fall pretty deep into, I would say the ninth is probably a day where you could fall backwards in many ways. But, so pay attention to your imagination and to what you're imaging in your head, because I think Mercury conjunct Chiron will bring a lot of awareness to certain deep things. But the moon and Neptune together in Pisces is also going to make this very imaginative and creative. How would you characterize Mercury with Chiron in Aries?
Well, like I just said, it's sort of that because it's following the sun and Venus, right? So it's sort of like what you were saying earlier about um, needing to know but not knowing at the same time. And so
Mm.
for me, I feel like we're starting to know and see it, and it's probably not going to be something we're going to want to face. I feel because Chiron is that like wounded healer energy, that sense of I keep getting lots of shadow work, which is interesting, but at a very like basic level. It's like the child that doesn't want to do the thing, but they know they have to do the thing. This very like inner child wandering sense is what I'm getting from it. But also like revision as well. Venus to me right now in Aries is like this revision period. So we're starting with revising almost before we know what we're revising, and then it's like we drudge up the whatever that comes up and we're surprised by it. Like you do it before you know it is how this feels, if that makes any
Mm.
sense.
Amen. That's very, very true. With Mercury still lagging behind, and then it conjuncts Chiron. Um, yeah, definitely. It's a time, it's a season to kind of put the mind in the back seat because Mercury is not leading the
Mm-hmm.
way right now. Mercury doesn't have all the answers. It's falling behind the sun, and so just let the mind take a back seat and you lead with your heart. This is what Venus ahead of the sun now is all about. And um, an amazing phrase that I just heard this week was start before you're ready. So go to the gym before you're ready, and just get those reps in. Or so I just think that's so perfect for the whole month. And I've been holding on to that because I love that phrase. Just start before you're ready. It really speaks to even today. I mean, we just threw this together and knew that we had to do it. So we just did
Mm-hmm.
it before we were even
You just
ready.
went for it.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah. Well, because too, what does ready even mean? Like, if you're already revising, because for me personally, I feel this as, I'm revising my idea of what it means to be ready. And so if that's not even certain, then what am I waiting for? Like
Right.
the certainty is kind of that illusion that we were talking about, and your fears are the illusions based on certainty. So this is it, like everything you're saying is making perfect sense. And we're riding that wave of just go for it.
Mm-hmm. Really. And there's hope too. I see the way being open for us to overcome the mind and the way that
Mm.
it judges your wounds with Chiron, with with the sun and Mars sextiling at this point. So this is the light shining through, and this is, helping you dispel illusions um, with the moon and Neptune together. And just I think to create new stories. It's such imaginative energy that you can create a new narrative or a new story around the things that have seemed to help hold you back in life, or the wounds that you haven't been owning, and realizing that, they're the key to um, healing. When you own your wounds, it's the key to not just healing
Mhm.
yourself, but showing others how they can heal as well. And that's why Chiron is, the wounded soldier. Um, and the mythology of Chiron is amazing. Um, so amazing, but I think we'll get into that another time. So we've got a really dope sextile happening there around this time between Mars and the
Mhm.
sun. Um, but we also have Mars squaring Neptune in Pisces. Very interesting. Mars square Neptune. This is kind of a big one because it doesn't happen too often with how slow Mars moves. Um, anything to say about Mars square Neptune, Amelia?
I had a thought about this earlier when I was going over everything, and I don't know if I remember what it was I thought. I think there was a level of just like more of that surrendering, because I feel like Neptune and Pisces is that, deep feminine surrender that is also very confusing and doesn't like it feels like you're losing it, but what you're losing is just that illusion of control. So it's interesting then that Mars is sextiling with it, because it's almost like taking action and making the intention with your action, because even just sort of having an intentional thought is an action, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
that's the kind of energy that I'm getting from it. um and that is sort of a form of surrender too, or rather you can make the intentional action to surrender, and it all seems like a paradox, but it also is like perfectly aligned. you know
Yeah, that I think that's perfect what you said. And Mars is really happy. He's in front, he's leading the pack. He loves being the leader. And in Gemini, he's speaking the orders. He's going, all right, now we're doing this, and now we're going here. And if you could,
Delegating.
yeah, delegating. If you can do that in your own life here in April, I think that's really powerful. Like Amelia said, have the intention. And that's probably one of the most important actions you can do with Mars, you know, functioning on the mental plane in this air sign. Um, and he's fighting Neptune at the same time as he's getting along with the sun in sextile. So as you can see, guys, there's a lot to show that there's a ton of positivity with Mars and with the sun and Venus and soon Mercury as Mercury catches up. Um, and with all that positivity, there's a battle going on with our illusions, with our shadows. And there's a lot of realization happening with all these conjunctions to Chiron. And so, yeah, lead the way with your intention and speak it forth, speak the reality that you want to experience. Um, yeah, just pave the way in the mind of where you want to go and keep your eyes on where you want to be. Definitely don't focus on where you don't want to be. Um, pay very close attention to what kind of images you create in your mind. That's what Neptune's about, the image making faculty, the imagination. And don't visualize, scenarios that you don't want to live through. I mean, just don't do that to yourself. As soon as you catch yourself doing it, it's enough to know that you were doing it. Don't judge yourself for doing it. Just catch yourself and realize, oh, I got caught in a thought there. I was imagining something that was a fear. And instead, start to imagine something intentionally that would make you happy or excited or peaceful or abundant or strong. And imagine that. So realize what kind of willpower, what kind of control you have over the images that pass through your mind. And I think you're going to get ahead in an amazing way this month by doing that. So we also have Mercury in sextile to the North Node in Gemini. This is the mind is beginning to cooperate with where we're supposed to be headed as far as our collective destiny, which has been in Gemini. If you don't know, the North Node shows where the growth is, where we're headed. The South Node shows where we've been and where we should use those resources of what we've learned, but not stagnate or stay back there. Is that a good kind of explanation of the nodes, would you say?
Oh yeah, spot on. Nothing to add.
Okay. Just wanted to see if you wanted to add anything. And um, so the North Node in Gemini has been showing us that our growth right now as a collective is in doing research and being curious and you know, finding out what the sources are of the information that you get. So Mars and Gemini, I mean, Gemini energy, North Node in Gemini is very curious. And if you're not curious, then you're not going to find out new things. So the South Node in Sagittarius is saying that the trap is in believing you have all the answers and that all the research has already been done and you just take it because you heard it. North Node in Gemini is you got to do your own research and come to your own conclusions about things, um, because that's where the growth is. That's where the soul is right now. And if you just if you don't know for yourself, then you will be swept away with the tide of the South Node and Sag energy, which is being fanatical about what you think is true, or you know, South Node and Sagittarius is also believing that it's coming, that it's out there and we're going to get there. Whereas North Node and Gemini is showing, no, it's here,
Mhm.
it's in your local community, and it's right in front of you what the best thing for you to do is now. Sagittarius wants the faraway island that I can go off to and escape. And but Gemini is who's here in my community now, who I can work with and make my local world better. And so don't shoot that arrow far off and think that don't aim so far out is my advice with the North Node in Gemini right now. Look at what's available for you to do here and now in your home, in your family, in your community, in your city, and how you can make that place better rather than try to escape or just believe that the answer is right around the corner. When maybe the answer is right in front of you, you just have to have the curiosity to look. Um,
Mm. That coincides so well with the next bit.
it does. Um, which is um, so yeah, Mercury sextiling the North Node is really going to help with that, because it'll also be in sextile to Saturn at the same time. So if we go ahead a couple days, Mercury is moving real fast now. Um, Here it is in sextile to Saturn, boom, and also in sextile to the nodes. So we're realizing something about our destiny and where the growth is at, and this is in trine to the South Node though. So there's a huge temptation to just you know, because our mind has struggled so far of these 10 days of April, now you're there's going to be the temptation to want to latch on to the most available and big sounding like authority, you know, because we've been through this unknown period. Mercury has been lagging, and it's like, well, where am I in the mind? And now, so don't fall to the temptation of like just jumping onto, oh, well, I can know about this, I can know this. Um, Mercury, it's almost working too well with the South Node at this point with the trine. So don't take the easy way out of, okay, yeah, that's the answer. Work with the North Node, like Mercury's working with it now at this point, of, well, what's the next question to ask to find the deeper answer? Or what's some of the deeper, you know, observations I can make or the deeper research that I can do? Because with Mercury working with Saturn in a sextile, Saturn is Mercury's friend right now. And Saturn is helping Mercury to have some discipline and have some structure and have some real conviction and the solidity of like, I know this because I found out for myself, and not because somebody told me and now I'm just going to repeat it. So Saturn is encouraging your mind to have some integrity here. Unfortunately, this trine to the South Node, I think, is going to
Mm.
present the temptation to just be lazy. And so work with this energy. Don't be lazy. Let Saturn work on your mind as Saturn's working with Mercury to find that solidity in yourself of, you've done the work and you have the answers. And also, I think Saturn in Aquarius asks us to be honest at this point at the 10th about when we just don't know. It's okay to not know. It's okay to say, I don't have an answer for that yet. It's very interesting. you know?
Hmm. It's a power move to not know. That's the ironic thing about all this is like there's that need to know which has been plaguing us forever, I feel like, but especially like you mentioned with the last year and everything going down in society in general, there is such temptation and there has been to just cling to the, mainstream narrative or cling to whoever you resonate with rather than, and in that way you're giving up your power kind of, or at least you're giving your attention, which is a whole part of your power, to something that is not you. And so this is like a reorientation moment, huge energy. So good luck to everyone because it's big stuff.
Absolutely. Good luck, everybody. And we're here to support you too. If anybody wants to get a reading with either me or a Rose Mapstone, you can always reach out. We're happy to help.
For
So,
sure.
because how this is hitting you individually is seen in your birth chart. So we'd have to get into your chart to find that out. And we're happy to do that. We do that for a living. So, okay, then there's some good news happening here. Also on the 10th, we have Venus in sextile to Jupiter. So Venus is working with Jupiter, which is really positive. It just shows that, relationships can be really meaningful right now. And the meaning that you find in the relationship can help to kind of decode the experiences that you've been having in life. Just a lot of insight and a lot of revelation and, of course, expansion and growth can come through relating well with other people. And, Mercury ruling communication and Saturn ruling discipline now, this is definitely a time to kind of, I guess, discipline your communication a little bit. And like we said, just, if you don't have the answers, just admit you don't know. And that way, through that honesty, the honest tea can come forth. So that's a really,
Yes.
positive transit. Then in the second third of April, the 11th through the 20th, we got the new moon in Aries. Da, da, da. So here's the moon, comes into Aries on the 10th, or yep, I think on the 10th, and then comes into conjunction with the sun. Boom. So there's the sun and moon together making out in Aries, and this is the new moon. So this is a reset, a restart, and a new lunar cycle. New moon in Aries. I have an eyelash in my eyeball.
Oh no.
I keep rubbing my eye. Okay.
I was
So
gonna say about the new moon in Aries, feels like a super battery being charged. So when you said restart, I was like, yeah, like when you restart your phone, what's that, like jumpstart, like that kind of energy of just like restarting is just very on point for this. And there's a lot of different ways that you can channel that.
definitely, definitely. So for the new moon in Aries, how I look at it is that this is a reset of how we identify and those common ways that we have identified. And this can switch from obligation, from feeling like you are obligated to identify in a certain way, to free will choice. So this new moon in Aries is wiping the slate clean on the 11th for you to now find out, what am I identifying with? What have I fallen into an identification with that I don't need to just automatically accept anymore? You know?
Mm.
And because the fire in astrology is the identity principle, it's the principle of spirit, which is the life, which is also the identity. It's the energy to identify who you are and what you want in life. Air is the principle of the mentality of the mind. Earth is the material principle. And of course, water is the emotional slash soul principle. So soul and emotions go together. But fire is more closely allied to the spirit. And there is a difference between spirit and soul. And it's so amazing to see how, soul is more personal and spirit is more individual. And I go deeply into those terms in my course. But this is a very spiritual reset. And so a reset of identity. So on the new moon, on the 11th, how do you want to identify from now on? From this point forward, who are you? And a very interesting meditation to do is to find out who you are at the core. So if you go, who am I? And let's say you go to your name, I am Christian. Okay, but what's deeper than that name? And just go as deep as you can
Hmm.
to find who or what you truly identify with and see where it takes you. And maybe you'll just find out that you're a spirit. I don't know though. I don't want to spoil it for you. It's an interesting journey. Enter into your heart where your life comes from and find out who you are. It's also a very powerful new moon to enter into your head space as well, the center of your forehead, which is where all thoughts pass through. This is where you can see a thought or hear a thought as it first arises. So it does come from right here. Very interesting to do. And I really am excited to hear
Well,
what
that's like
Amelia.
the receptive feminine side of the masculine Aries, right? Because it rules the head, and that's like, yeah, the feminine side of the masculine, which is that receptive thought point, which is going to be super potent this time.
Wow, very true. Very true. New moons are very, very powerful times to be receptive, to take on that feminine energy of receptivity. And the new moons, in my opinion, are the most powerful times of the year. I mean, of the month in the year to fast, to meditate, and to become very still. Because from what I've learned in spiritual astrology by Master EK, um, there's this interplay between light and dark, so that when the material light is at its darkest, which is the moon, when on the new moon, the material light, the light in the physical universe, is its darkest. When that happens, there's an influx of spiritual light or inner light. So as the outer light decreases, the inner light grows. And on a full moon, the inner light is its dimmest. This is why I think crime rises on full moons, because the inner light of intuition is most dim on a full moon, because the material light has grown. So our material objective consciousness takes more control, and people's desires might lead them more you know, without consciousness. But a new moon is a time to settle into yourself inside and let that spiritual light, make contact with that inner light. And the best way to do that is through fasting and meditation and detaching from the physical world in a way. And then you can hear these messages from the inside. It's so, so powerful. It's my favorite time of all time to meditate on new moons. I love full moon meditations as well, but it's a little more of a party time. It's a little more of a time to kind of dance around a fire, play music, and have fun with other people, because you can see them in the night. It's like, whoa, it's the middle of the night and I can see your face because the moon is shining on it. Whereas new moon, it's dark. So wonderful time to get under your covers, be with yourself and be still and know God. Anything to add?
No, you covered it. You're so thorough.
Thanks. I love having you here, Amelia. Thank you so much. So April 11th, this new moon, I wrote down this little intention. Maybe you've already started reading it, but I'll just go through this real quick because this is just something I wrote a while ago to kind of get you into the mode of, if you like to start new intentions on new moons, it's a powerful time for new intentions because it's the start of a new cycle, a new lunar cycle. So an example, and this is kind of a meditative thing that I take you into here, but my example is that from here on out, I intend to deepen my understanding of the true me, because Aries does rule your true individuality. It rules the head and face. And the thing that really personifies each person, that makes us separate from everybody and recognizable, is our face. So what's the true you, even behind this image, this face? And if you intend to deepen your understanding of the true you, maybe that'll help this new moon. I will seek first to understand and then to be understood. I will listen to the truth of who I am, which is beyond the mind, beyond the body, beyond time or space, beyond any created thing. This I know, for I can see it for myself now. I can validate the self, which is aware, is not the things it's aware of. whether it is time, space, body, or mind. If it can be seen, it's a changing thing and not the eternal reality. Who is the unchanging witness behind that which is witnessed? Is it I? No, it simply is. I as concept has disappeared and yet something remains. I relax in this transcendence. I am larger than my concerns. I give thanks for my consciousness. I give thanks to the spiritual overseer. I give thanks for this loving awareness, which is never not here. It is always present, awaiting my recognition. I intend to bring forth this recognition or realization into every aspect of my life. So I think what I wanted to present there was the essential thing that all the mystics are trying to point out, which is this realization that this awareness is never not here. It's never not here. And it has no qualities. It's qualityless. And it's the perfect thing to rely upon. And when you get into it and find out who is observing through you, it starts to become a non-personal kind of thing. And this is the spirit. And it's amazing how you can start to see that even the concept of I is just a concept. All that is simply this awareness, and it just is. So yeah, something powerful to tap into this new moon, I would say. It's just simple awareness. And it's so simple that it just it goes past us. It's so easy to gloss over it because of how simple it is. And yet all the mystics throughout all the ages have always tried to point it out. But the mass mind, you could say, is they're too into stimulation to want to tap into this. They'd rather, like, go turn on the TV and be entertained, because it's not very entertaining to tap into what is aware to be entertained. but but that's where your security can come from, your inner security of knowing that it's never going to leave. It's always here. It's kind of indescribable. But so would you like to read this meditation, this fire mind meditation?
Yeah, sure. And I also just want to say thank you for hitting like all the synchronicities for me lately, because there's just been some content that I've been watching or like meditations I've been doing that really coincide with everything you said. And a good recommendation if people want to start out with, exploring that whole thing that you talked about. Muji's meditations on YouTube are stellar. And I know you like him too, Christian, because it's so helpful to have a guide if you're not used to sort of peeling back the layers or the filters of the eye, if you will. And so it's very nice to just have his voice there to guide you through it. So, and
Yes.
this meditation that I wrote was inspired by what you wrote, actually, Christian. And I was like, is it okay if I just take this like in this direction? You were like, yeah, absolutely, go for it. So I called it a fire mind meditation, to represent, the head that is ruled by Aries, but also the receptive crown place where like all thoughts are created, received, as well as given. The sort of like, kind of like I mentioned earlier about the feminine aspect of the masculine head, of the receiving thoughts as well as putting them out. I think it's super important to be aware of what we receive and what we consume as well as what we put out. And to coincide then with what you said about how, usually we're distracting ourselves with stimuli to basically, um, that's sort of another way we give up our power, isn't it? And sort of forget our sovereignty is by placing it outside of ourselves, placing our attention, constantly seeking farther and farther outside of yourself, which maybe relates to that South Node in Sagittarius. Um, but so this is meant to bring it more to center, to bring it focusing on what you're receiving, on what your filter is. So if you'd like to just, breathe this in and let the words move through you as they will. And then also, if you want to try like a longer moment with yourself, this can be a really helpful visualization for tapping into this Aries new moon energy. Picture a little flame at the top of your head. Although it is small, it is powerful, radiating life and heat down your entire body like a humble god. This is the awareness that permeates all of life, all of you, the power that can be everything, but feels no need to attach or identify to anything. It is playful in its sovereignty. Visualize your breath fanning this flame, making it brighter and more luminous. And the more you breathe with conscious awareness, the more it grows and flows. Feel free to embody this flame, whether it flickers or it's in steady stillness. There is no wrong way to be. And then, is there more at the end? I forgot if there was.
Yeah.
Ah, yes.
Mhm.
The most important part, be here, be present with this flame seed of consciousness, observing your breath, tethered to this present moment. All you have is now. And actually, Kristen, we kind of wrote this together then because I left a lot of what you had already there. So this was like a really beautiful little team effort.
It was. Yeah. Beautiful. Wow, I really actually felt the warmth just travel down my body as I did that visualization.
Mm, it's so
Amazing.
good. It comes in waves too, right? Which is wonderful. And yeah, I wanted to speak to that what you said earlier about the consciousness of fire, the identity, and how it does take many shapes and forms. Like Aries flame is small because it's like that baby fire, but it grows, it moves, it shifts, it can change colors. Like that's the beauty of this power, this spirit, is that it can be anything, but it doesn't necessarily feel the need to attach to, like, to stay that one thing, you know. It's always shifting. So I think to like loosen us up and have a little more fun with how we identify is, it's perfect to tap into fire energy for that.
Yeah, definitely. So perfect. Amazing. And then last, we've got some new moon questions to ask. These are for, I write these out for my light workers as well, for them to get deeper into the new moon energy for every new moon. And all these questions are always different and they coincide with the theme of the sign, of course. And so something you could do, you could rewatch this at the time of the new moon on the 11th. Go to this part of the video, you know, where we do these meditations and stuff, just to anchor in that new moon energy for you. So it's just an option I thought of there for you. I still have that thing in my eye.
Oh no.
Amazing. So these questions, you know, for potent self-inquiry, ask yourself these and journal the answers. One amazing thing you can do, this is an amazing exercise, is write before thinking, and just write and see what is written, and don't judge what is written, but literally let it be, let it not make sense. Let your just soul, which is, you know, communicates non-verbally, let those words pour out. So even it might be weird, it might not be coherent grammar, but who cares? If you just allow it to flow through you, you'll find some amazing things pour out of you. And this is what it means to know yourself, is to not judge yourself and see what contents come forth, right? So, you know, what makes you feel excited? Aries is the energy of being excited. It's that first sign energy. It's the rush of life, which is firstborn. What makes you feel excited? In what ways does this excitement differ from the feeling of fear? Fear is what inhibits Mars. The number one enemy to Mars, to our ability to take action, is fear. So fear paralyzes, you know? So what's the difference? What's the difference of quality between what it feels like to be excited and what it feels like to be fear? In what ways are they similar? And this can, you know, by finding where this line is, this can help you to kind of overcome fear, or overcome the fear of fear, you know, and finding how, just how similar they are, you know, it can be an interesting discovery for you. In other words, how do I know when I'm excited versus when I'm afraid? What fills me with life and motivation to rush outward? What depletes me of energy and causes me to withdraw? What is the one question I could ask myself to shine light on why or how I'm currently experiencing life in the way I am? What's the one question you could ask yourself? What do I need to know about myself? What piece of information could I gather that could help me move forward with greater ease? What instills me with a sense of self-reliance? What do I love doing all on my own? Who am I when no one is around? What does it mean to know myself? Why is it important to pay attention to myself? Do I normally keep my eyes on myself or eyes on others? And by eyes, I mean your awareness, of course. So I hope you enjoy those questions. And yeah, let me know what insights you have there. So, okay, let's go back up here to these transits that we moved past. So on the day of new moon, we have Venus in Aries square Pluto in Capricorn. It's interesting that that exact transit happens exactly on that day. So Venus comes into square with Pluto. This is creating some interesting, dynamic energy around around transformation and around relationship. And this can force certain changes to happen in relationship. Pluto is this energy of things which we cannot control, kind of a thing. So I think there's some regeneration here, but it might feel kind of painful. Who knows? Or maybe painful in the area of needing validation from others, and maybe that's not coming, and so now you're able to transform out of needing that. Or who knows what this could look like. But if you experience this, so this is another reason why you should relax on this new moon and not take things too personally and find some alone time so you can really smooth out your edges, because there's a transformation being triggered here in our relationships and in the structure of things with Pluto and Capricorn. So try and allow this to happen and don't fight it, I would say, because I think it's going to be for your highest good. Moon enters Taurus then we have Sun in Aries, sextile Mars and Gemini. So if we go forward, boom, Moon is now in its house of exaltation, which is amazing. The moon loves being here. Whenever the moon's in Taurus, this is a fantastic time to find lost items. The moon is the anchor. So the moon really has the last say in many ways as far as how the energy is going to reach Earth, because it's the closest body to Earth. So when moon is in Taurus, this is solid energy in the air. It's like really good energy for organizing and for finding out really tangibly what you need to create comfort and to create security in your life. And that's why the moon loves being in Taurus. It's exalted in Taurus. So this is a good couple of days to do those, maybe get your finances figured out or do those physical things that can help you to recharge. And that'll get you on the powerful foot forward, starting off this new moon on this new lunar cycle. And then so this is when the sextile to Mars, which has been brewing, it's been exact for a couple days, 11th and the 12th and the 13th. It's exact. But I think the 13th is the moment of exact sextile. And then the sun's going to come off of it because the sun moves a little faster. So amazing energy here to move forward, pave a new way, find a new way out of old paradigms, old shadows. This is really burning away a lot of mental stuff, guys. A lot of the trash in the mind that you don't need to be there anymore. And that's going to come through self-acceptance of your true identity on this new moon. And then, so what do we have happening here? I look at the, what's written here for speed sake, because it's a little, this helps us move a little faster. So Sun in Aries sextile Mars, going to be amazing. Then we have Venus enter Taurus on the 14th as the moon enters Gemini. Hooray! So Venus, boom, enters Taurus on the 14th. Venus loves being in Taurus. This is the Venus's home sign. And this is the physical side of the goddess, the side of where she manifests as sensuality, as physical love. And, physical signs of nurturance and care and beauty and harmony. So this is a period, um, and I have it written down, but I'm not sure exactly how long Venus will be here. For a while, just I think a little less than a month. So I think that'll be in May. So Venus in Taurus is amazing love energy to get cozy and make your home how you want it to be. Taurus deals with foundations of security and productivity and resources and money. So this is a fantastic time for making money, but also for reworking those attitudes that you might have around money. So realizing that you deserve money, you deserve abundance, you deserve all of the good substance in the world, and that please realize there's no shortage in life. If you become a billionaire, that doesn't actually take away from anybody. You could believe that it does, you could believe that it doesn't. I believe it doesn't, but I also think the reality is that it doesn't. There's just enough to go around. So if you have any blocks around, well, if I have all this, what I want, it's going to take away from somebody else. Somebody else will suffer if I have abundance. You could just let that one go, because Venus and Taurus demonstrates we all can have what we want. And according to what we believe, we get what we deserve. So just believe the highest and the best for you. Sometimes our blocks take the form of virtue. They take the form of that you care about others. And that's why you're suffering. I would just invite you, with Venus and Taurus, um, create that self-worth, create that value in yourself that, yeah, you can have what you want, period. You know, because the moon also entering the Gemini is going to allow you to anchor that idea in. Because when you feel that shift happen on the 14th, moon enters Gemini also, boom. It's the time to anchor in those ideas that you want. That will support you in creating what you want. All right, 15th, 16th, we got the sun, sextile to Jupiter, and then square Pluto. Interesting. We also have Mars and Gemini trine Jupiter in Aquarius. So let's check this out. 14th, 15th, 16th. All right. So, yep, sextile Jupiter, and that's going to square Pluto. Fantastic. So this is an amazingly positive transit, Sun, sextile Jupiter. Been waiting for this one. This is, this is our heart leading the way, hopefully, in your life. And now you're going to start seeing the gifts of that. You're going to start being empowered by seeing the evidence of what can be created, what can be grown, what can be expanded by following your heart. So the 14th, 15th, and 16th are pretty encouraging days where if you do the right thing for yourself, you'll feel empowered to do more of that. So it's really positive. But also there is a challenge here with Pluto and the sun. The sun in Aries is driving us towards what we want as an individual and how we want to live and starting this new year in the right way, the astrological new year. But Pluto in Capricorn is like kind of like this overarching threat of like, well, will the world allow you to live that way? And this is another trigger of a transformation of, I think, transforming the fear that the world won't allow you to live free, or however this could look. The sun wants freedom in Aries. The sun is exalted in Aries. Pluto in Capricorn is this shadow of, I don't know, how would you describe Pluto in Capricorn? It's kind of interesting to interpret.
Well, for me, it's definitely like, I mean, Pluto is the shadow of humanity, right? That's what I call it. And in Capricorn, that maybe also relates to like the healing, the relationship with money that you were just talking about, or healing your relationship with like your understanding of the physical world or what the idea of success is. Rather than it being this like dogmatic, unattainable thing, it's more personal, more intimate. And I feel like that's the challenge that's coming up is like people are recognizing that one, everyone's idea of success is different, and two, it is so that we can all contribute to the collective whole. Like our individuality is meant to be expressed, which I think is where that Aquarian energy comes into as well. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the individuals are operating in different vibrations and variations so that we can complete the whole body of consciousness. That's the like solution, I guess, to the challenge that is going to arise with that Pluto and Capricorn facing this heart drive. Kind of like almost like this truth or dare energy to me, like this dare of like, how much do you want this, or how passionate are you willing to go, how much forward are you willing to go with your heart. So yeah.
Right. Definitely. It's almost like an unstoppable force meeting an immovable object kind of an energy.
Mm-hmm.
And which one are you? Are you that unstoppable force or are you that immovable object? And yeah, this is going to deal with identity a lot. Do you identify with somebody who can have what you want, or do you identify as somebody who cannot? Because I think this is where Pluto is going to test us. Um, like you said, it's the shadow of humanity. You're going to have to face the shadow at this point. And I think this victory here is going to be largely up to you. Are you going to be victorious in yourself? Identifying with that victory, or are you going to be defeated? Are you going to identify as defeat? Even if let's say you literally get defeated in a literal, tangible, physical way, you get denied the job you wanted, or you get rejected by the person you thought you wanted to be with. Um, are you going to just accommodate the reality and agree that that means you're defeated? Or are you going to bounce back inside of yourself and realize that, okay, the universe has something greater for me? And I think that's the test of this Pluto thing here. You know, are you going to cave under the pressure, or are you going to become the diamond, that becomes so beautiful because of that pressure, because you didn't give up the hope? And that's up to you. You can let go of the hope, or you can hang on to it and have faith. So I think the 15th is bringing this test on pretty clearly in a pretty clear way. But I think Venus, coming into Taurus is going to soften it quite a bit, which is going to be nice. So it's very interesting and very big energy. So I would say whatever big thing happens around the 15th, 16th, and even 17th, don't be dismayed. Keep the light inside of you strong. And you'll be there as long as you do this meditation on the new moon, as long as you can tap into that awareness, which is transcendent to everything of which you are aware, then you won't be dismayed by what you observe. You'll still be the observer. You'll still be the creator. You won't have to be subject to the effects.
Mm.
So have spiritual strength. I think that spiritual strength will be tested, but just say, hey, bring it on. Bring on the test, Pluto. And I think you'll pass with flying colors. All right. So then the 17th, we have some amazing mental energy with Mercury in sextile to Jupiter in Aquarius and Mars in Gemini. So here's another amazing sandwich of a transit. Let's see.
Transit sandwich
Yeah.
to go with the
16.
tea.
Amazing. There's Mercury right in the middle. He's in the sandwich between Mars 26, Mercury 26, and look at that. Pluto 26, but Jupiter 26. There's a lot of 26s here. But with Mars in the Mercury in the sandwich between Jupiter and Mars, this is big realizations of how you can move forward. Hopefully you've held on to your light and your hope and your faith, and you're not being dismayed by the test of Pluto halfway through this month, and you stay strong, because you're going to get some new ideas the following days on 17th. New insights come in about how to be strong, about how to overcome, and Mars will help you find the action, because the moon is going to meet up with Mars on this day, and it's going to anchor in the realization of how you can practically move forward. So the way will be shown to you. Just have a wait and see attitude during this crazy square, with Pluto. Have a wait and see. Even if you get rejected, you might get another offer the next day. So, don't be crushed. Don't let Pluto crush you is the thing. This is sun in exaltation still. You have all the resources um, to, stay strong in yourself and stay in believing in yourself. The sun is not done here in Aries just yet. So amazing, amazing transits here. Um, just stay perceptive.
Spirit.
Go
Oh,
ahead.
I was just gonna say, Spirit is just like yelling, like, "This is what we've been training for," and that's the energy that I'm feeling that this is.
Right. Totally. You've been training for this moment. Totally. Stay perceptive, keep your lens clean, you know. Don't muddy it up with doubt and with, judgment about yourself. Moon is going to enter Cancer. Its home sign, going to be amazing. Nice energy on the 17th. And then Mercury in Aries will square Pluto. So now Mercury is going to get that test. It's going to be a test in the mind now. At the same time that there's all this positivity. So that's why I think there's a lot of room for overcoming and conquering your shadows, realizing that the light shines in the darkness. That's where the light shines. It doesn't shine. It doesn't shine in the light. I mean, it is the light. So if you're scared of the shadows of the darkness, you don't realize who you are yet. You don't realize that you are the light, and the light does shine in the darkness. So peace exists around angry people. Happiness exists around unhappy people who want you to be unhappy just like they are. And you being the light, a light worker, means you stay happy. Because how are you going to make unhappy people happy by also being unhappy? You got to be the light. It's up to you, my friends. Okay, April 18th, Mercury conjunct the sun in Aries. This is the, what's it called? The Cassini moment. Um, did I eyelash fly into your eye now?
I think so, which is really weird. we're, we're, it's also, I think it's very fitting for what we talked about with the Aries energy, like entering here. I'm like, are we just getting actual physical receptive moments now? And we need stuff lodged in our eyes. So crazy.
That's so crazy. I know. Who knows what's going on? Oh man. So Mercury comes conjunct the sun at the same time that they're going to enter into Taurus. Mercury, this is the moment when Mercury passes the sun and is now ahead of the sun by our observation from Earth. Very interesting that it happens at the last degree of Aries. So right at this transition moment of the month, April 19th, look at this, 59 minutes. So it does enter into Taurus, right around 1:30 p.m. Pacific time, so California, which will be 4:32 for those on the east. And so the Mercury and the sun coming together is how I see it, is the heart and the mind coming together and realizations coming to light about, things you've realized in a non-verbal way with your heart, and becoming like kind of finding words for that with Mercury and the sun together. Mercury,
Finally.
yeah, finally, right? Mercury is the servant of the sun. He's the messenger of the gods, the god being the sun, and Mercury is never far from the sun. And if we were to go like this and just watch time go ahead, keep an eye on the sun and Mercury. And so Mercury gets ahead of the sun, and then it turns retrograde and it starts to go back, and it comes back here. And this is in July now. And then it stops retrograde, comes forward again. What does this movement remind you of? This back and forth. Anything?
Am I supposed to answer?
If you have anything that it reminds you of, I know what it
Well,
reminds
just
me
the
of.
messenger, like you said. It's like gathering the info, coming back, but never leaves that because it's the closest planet to the sun. So it's the most fitting thing, actually. I mean, this is why astrology is real because it just coincides so well with the astronomy of it all. And you
Right.
have this perfect visual of this like coming back, but then reining back in and bringing the information back to center. So it's like the mind, learning and being open then coming back to the heart, and the heart nourishes this information and like does stuff with it.
Totally.
That's what I got.
Amazing. I love that. Really good point. This is a little faster. This is by the week. So look at Mercury. Swoop, swoop, forward, back, forward, back. It reminds me of a pendulum. And
Ah, yes.
yeah, Mercury is actually acting as like a perfect pendulum. Forward, backward, backward. And yeah, coming back with deeper understanding, as Einel said. Exactly. Returning back home with the information. And if we, by looking at this time lapse of Mercury, it's literally like a pendulum. The Mercury's going shwamp, 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 shwamp with the sun. And so there's always times of not knowing, followed by times of knowing. And I always tell my clients, you have to relax when you don't know, because that's the
Mhm.
space from which you will know. And if you're in anxiety about it and you're trying to create an answer, it's probably not going to be the answer. And this is the whole thing about our creator. He wants us to rely on him. And otherwise, what's the point? What's the point? As soon as we surrender, then the divine flows through us. Pretty amazing. So we've got an hour and a half here. So let's try and wrap it up really quickly.
Yeah, maybe in the future we should split it up into two parts, maybe,
Potentially.
if you'd be interested.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or we'll just get better at being faster.
Yeah,
We'll see. I love going off on tangents, so we'll see.
that's true. But it does all connect. We could spend more time focusing on just like the major themes that we want to hit,
Yeah,
um,
definitely.
and then save the other juicy details for the circle, and
Yes.
of course your Patreon.
Mm-hmm. Good idea. So we come home to some kind of realization on the 19th. Sun and Mercury both at 0 degrees Taurus. This is the beginning of Taurus season on the 19th. So we have 30 days of the Sun in Taurus, and this is going to be fantastic energy as well. This is Venusian energy, very central energy, and wonderful energy, wonderful time to get those practical things done, those foundational level things that help you feel nurtured, stable, and resourceful in life. Um, all right. And then we're going to have the full moon coming up. So let's see. Mars is going to enter Cancer on the 23rd. Venus is going to get a square to Saturn. Mercury is going to square Saturn as well. And then Mercury.
This second half of the month to me is more of this softening, whereas the beginning, and I mean there is a surrender that we've been talking about in the beginning of the month, but the second, when I first just glimpsed at it, I was like, ooh, we're gonna have a lot more divine feminine support here, like a lot more opportunity to just sink into your sovereignty. I've been saying soften into your sovereignty lately because it just feels so important. So rather than like redirecting your attention and like redirecting your thoughts up here, it's more now settling into like, the throat and the shoulders, and like just, letting all of that relax and stretch out a little more and become more tangible. So yeah, full embodiment of basically everything we've been talking about is what I feel.
Yeah, that is a great point. And it's just great energy that we have here. The moon even coming into trine with this stuff on Thursday, April 22nd. And this is like, the forge was hot here in Aries in the first part of April, the first 19 days. The fire was hot, and now it's starting to cool. And now it's like the mold is setting, kind of. This is very
Yeah,
feminine.
that's a perfect way to describe it.
Thanks. Very cooling energy. And now, so this is why you want to identify who you are and what you want in Aries, because the fire, the forge is hot. The metal is in a perfect position to be formed,
Yeah, it's
and
malleable.
yeah, malleable, and you can form it how you want it. But you have to realize you are at the cause of that process and not at the effect. Don't let the world tell you who you are. You tell the world who you are. That's how it works. If you do it the wrong way, you will suffer. Guaranteed. Because that's what suffering is. You not having control over your identity and you not deciding what you want, but being told, being dictated to you what you want. That doesn't make sense. And it just doesn't work. It's not in divine order. There is an order to life, guys. We can go with the order or against it. That's up to us. That's where we have will power. But I recommend you tell us who you are. You tell the world what you want. It'll be scary at first if you're not used to it. Absolutely. People will probably hate you for it because they're too scared to do it. But if you don't do it by the time we hit this Aries energy, the mold is set. So you don't want to be stuck in a place where you don't want to be. So let's see here what happens. Mercury comes into conjunction with Uranus as well as Venus. So this is a big conjunction, actually. This is amazing feminine energy. This is very fertile energy and it's very full, but Uranus here is kind of throwing in a curveball in that you're probably going to come up with some new ways, some new quirky ways of finding out your resources. Maybe you'll discover a new talent at this time. It'll become very logical. You know, you'll be able to communicate this talent with Mercury here. Something is coming to light and it's involving others. And Uranus is bringing in the lightning of this new idea, this new project. And at the same time, we have Mars come into Cancer. So this is a period in which now Mars is going to calm down and cool down a bit. Mars enters this feminine sign, which is the sign of the home and family. In Cancer, Cancer rules the breast, which is the home of the heart. And so Mars is leading the way of how we can be more nurturing now, which is very interesting. It's going to get along well with this Taurus energy. Water and earth, they soak in together. It's going to be a fantastic time to lead the way with sensitivity and compassion and vulnerability. And you'll be recharged by doing that. You'll be like, whoa, I just opened up with people in an amazing new way. And I feel nurtured. I feel refreshed by doing that. I thought it was going to be scary, but I just opened up my heart and I feel recharged. So this is a new way of approaching life coming now, April 23rd. Wonderful time to try new things with people. Let's just go through the rest of these days of April and see what transits stick out to us. So we got the 25th, Sunday. Looks like a great weekend. Fresh energy that weekend. Looks amazing. Monday, moon comes into Scorpio, allows us to get deep. And that's, of course, when we're going to have the full moon. Full moon at 6 degrees, I believe. So yeah, the 26th, which is a Monday, going to be the full moon. Then later, we're also going to have Mercury sextile Neptune, fantastic imaginative, creative energy. A time to channel, really, new information. With Mercury working with Neptune, divine information will just come through you as long as you allow it to. And then at the end of the month, we have the Sun conjunct Uranus, which is going to, I would say, be a vitalization or an illumination about a new way of, embodying the value that you have in this life. Maybe a new look at money. This is also going to vitalize the collective thing that's been in the process with Uranus and Taurus, which is reworking the money system in the world. So we might see something new, crazy happen with banks or with cryptocurrency or something happen around this time. We'll see. So for that full moon later in this month of April on the 26th, let's talk about that a little bit and then we'll wrap up here and we'll let you guys go. So full moon in Scorpio, this is the sign opposite Taurus. So Taurus is about physical security and the foundations of, creating in a practical way and in a physical or applied way. Scorpio is about emotional security and creating from a more sexual place. I've heard that Taurus is sensuality and Scorpio is sexuality. And it's
Yes.
yeah, interesting difference there.
Mm-hmm.
Sensuality is just embodiment. It's organic. It's like movement, I would say. And I want to hear what you would say about what the difference is there. Sexuality to me is more expressed and how would you say? I guess a little more focused. Whereas sensuality is just like the natural movement of my body. Sexuality is me moving my body in a way that, expresses something or is alluring or is trying to attract something, or it's a little more focused in that way. How would you?
Right. It's intentional. I was going to say something similar in the sense that sensuality is more sort of externalized a little bit, or it's like it's the senses, right? So it's that outer thing, kind of outer field. And then the Scorpio, the more sexual side, is more internal or comes from within. And I think both have that input and output energy. But the sensuality to me is more, I mean, I think you put it in probably a better way of just like movement versus intentional movement. Like there's focus with it and drive, which is
Mm,
where Mars ruling Scorpio comes in.
hmm. Yeah, amazing. And so there's this polarization here happening, this coming to light, this lunar light on the 26th, which I think can really highlight your deepest desires and the deepest desire to create and to merge with something. And through that mergence, the creation of it. Another thing I've heard is that Taurus is like generation, whereas Scorpio is like procreation. Another
Mm.
interesting and very subtle dynamic. Essentially, this full moon can aid your sense of what is missing. Scorpio energy is really good at finding the whole, finding that's kind of sexual in itself, but finding where there's a hole in your own self. And the desire to fill that hole is kind of what often creates the physical union between two people. It's this desire, it's this hunger. Scorpio is really good at locating where that hunger is and drilling into that hole. So I would say this full moon can help you to see, to shine that light into those depths of what is missing so that you can more deeply confront and meet with that self who feels it's not whole. So if you don't feel complete, now's the time to find out where and why and not run away from it. Scorpio energy is not always the most comfortable energy to look at, but we have a ton of Taurus energy, don't we, on this day of full moon? So we're going to be supported to, I think, dive into those depths, and there'll still be some cushy cushions around. You'll still be supported and comfortable in that deep dive into the mystery of like, what am I wanting? What am I hungry for? What do I want to create more of? Who do I want to merge with? Um, and you'll be guided, especially by asking in prayer or meditation, to find what practical action steps, which is Taurus energy, needs to be taken now to embolden, strengthen, and bring to the fore of your life your true self, who is whole, and usher in the living reality of your dreams. Incredibly imaginative energy, amazing full moon for that. I love what you put here. Would you like to read this to us?
Oh yeah, of course. I was just ruminating on the like ways that you could do what you just said, stepping into that more intuitive, imaginative side, but also the more experimental. So Taurus wants like practical answers, the basic, the basics, the foundation. And then Scorpio is like, let's experiment until we find out. And like, I'll know what I hate and I'll know what I love, and we can like work with it all and alchemize it basically. Like I call Scorpio the alchemist of the zodiac, because that's where you really start to transform in the most visceral way, which is where sexual alchemy can come in. Or I wrote pleasure alchemy because I think with all that Taurus energy it can also just be like sensual alchemy as well, just like moving your body with intention, which sort of combines the two.
Mm-hmm.
Because we walk naturally, most of us do, or like you move naturally, you go, even going to sleep is like a natural movement of this energy. But when you do it intentionally, if you have like a goal in mind, I think that's more so where Scorpio is. There's more of this like honing in and focusing and channeling. And so yeah, I wrote The Mystery of You in All Forms, meaning we're harkening back to what we talked about in the beginning, actually, about how you are this power that can be anything, but you get to choose. And you also don't have to like stick with one thing. You don't have to over identify or stay stuck in any place at all, because just like the planets moving through the zodiac, you are also constantly moving. And by learning this and even being here, you're also sort of transcending the zodiac, because you're recognizing the patterns in the sky and in your own life that no longer maybe dictate you so much as like open some doors for you. And so that's like what this all is about, is not just seeing the patterns, which maybe is more Taurus, but Scorpio is about like seeing through them and then kind of writing your own. And so you're using your ecstasy as a manifesting force. You're using trying new things not as an excuse to be different maybe, or something like that, but as a means of finding what you need to know, or of like expressing what you need to know.
Mm-hmm.
And I also wrote All of Life is Ceremony, because it is. And
Mm-hmm.
I want to bring up the idea that, like, with like plant medicine ceremonies, or even just like very in-depth meditations, a lot of pain can come up from it. A lot of like judging up of stuff can happen, but that's where the transformation happens. That's why shadow work is so important here as well. And is probably why I mentioned it in the beginning, is because Scorpio has this huge depth, this transcendent depth, um, by understanding all of these different parts of being human. You are participating in all of the different parts of a ceremony. You are both like, the person experiencing it and the shaman, or you are the music playing, whatever it is, like you're the beat of the drum, your heart, all aspects of life, even the really mundane stuff that might seem as simple as, the practical parts of Taurus, planning out your finances, or, making your bed comfortable. That too is ceremony. And so when you become aware of that, that's when we can hone in and focus and alchemize and form what we want to form. So although you did actually mention, Christian, that like, the mold has set in the sense of the sun moving from Aries to Taurus, I think that this gives us a good, maybe more flexible aspect to like still sort of play around with it. Like, okay, we had this first basic mold, but now we have this other layer that we're creating here, if that makes sense. And it's a lot more subtle and mysterious because it's Scorpio, but it's encouraging us to enjoy that unknown that we have kind of been talking about this whole time.
Yeah, that is amazing. Amazing. Perfect way to kind of close this out and wrap it up. And it's perfect because that full moon is going to be at the end of the month. So it's going to be a deep dive.
I'm excited for it.
Me too.
It's also going to be my lunar return, so that'll
Wow.
be fun.
Oh, you're a moon in Scorpio?
Yeah.
All right. Wow.
Yeah, it's like the spiciest part of my chart.
That makes sense now. I can see that. Well, that's great. Amazing. And thanks for being here. Those of you who joined live, I really appreciate it. We're so excited to see you next month. These are going to get better and better and better, folks, because that's the way these things roll. So thanks for being here.
Yeah.
We, as promised, will set aside this little Q&A section. If anybody has any questions, let it rip. If not, no big deal. No big deal. We'll just call it. But if you have any questions here today, you in the chat, go ahead and post them in the chat. Or if you'd prefer to put your mic on, you can go for that too. This is going to be recorded as long as you don't care, having your voice recorded. But while we see if anybody has any questions, I'll just say that this is a fantastic time to grow and evolve by just putting your best foot forward and not having a plan. Really, if a plan presents itself, then that's great. That can offer support and some structure, which is going to be amazing. But really, just go ahead and have the courage. I mean, this is totally the month where the doors are open. The way is shining for you. There's a few tests up ahead, but it's a test of your resolve. It's your willpower. How positive is your positivity? Is it going to deflate at the slightest look of a pin? Like you just look at a pin and that's going to deflate you? Or is it going to be stronger than that? And that's up to you. And So I hope that we set you guys up in a good way to, you know, set yourself up to be strong, to be empowered, because the way, it's just, the way is going to be shown to you now. Just have a wait and see attitude and take life in strides. Don't have an expectation about life, because thoughts make you think that life should happen in a particular way. And when it doesn't, you get angry and you blame life for you being mad. It's the darndest thing I've ever seen, but I totally understand it. And if you want to be free from that, from expectations that drive you to have think these ways it should be, I invite you to go and forgive. Go and forgive your mother and father, or whoever raised you, because they were the original ones to cause you to fall away from your innocence, because they weren't perfect, but you're not perfect either. And so it's wrong for you to judge them. You were right for judging them when you were a kid, but as an adult, if you want to be free from that nature which they passed on to you, which is full of expectations, full of anger, full of fear and doubt, because it's all one package, go and forgive them. Apologize to them for resenting them. They couldn't help it. I'm sorry for resenting you. I forgive you. That's what forgiveness is, apologizing for hating. And the spirit of the universe that lives inside your heart and beats it for you will cause that anger to be taken away. And you'll have nothing left but peace. And then what peace is being able to take life in strides and being able to have a wait and see attitude. And it's an amazing way to live. So I invite you to just go and do that. It'll be the last time you ever feel fear, the last time you ever shake in your boots, and you'll be free from that point out. That's my invitation to you, to return to love, because there's no hate in love. There's no anger in love. So you can't have both. You can't ride two horses at once, can't serve two masters. Go and forgive, and that anger nature will be taken away from you. And it's a time for regeneration. It's a springtime for those of us in the northern hemisphere. So embrace the new things that are coming to life within you, and I think you're going to have an amazing time. That's about it. Anything to add, Amelia?
Oh, no, just thank you for all of these epic messages. I know they're going to reach exactly where they need to go.
Amazing. Thank you, Amelia, for your help with this. I'm so glad we're doing this for you guys. And thank you so much, you guys, for all of your support. It truly makes a difference. I do this full time. So, you know, all your support really makes a big difference. I really appreciate you guys being here live. Um, I know in the chat, she says, thank you too for a great class. I have 4 pages of information. Amazing. That's what I love to hear. Good,
That's
good.
so cool. You're the coolest. I love that.
That is so great. I love a good note taker.
You'll be all set for the month.
Yeah, it should be. Awesome. Well, thank you guys. Be blessed. Much love. And we'll see you in May of 2021. Peace be with you.